Round 2 of the 2017 and 18 Cox Motorsport Hyosung Cup kicked off in much the same conditions as Round 1, with a wet and windy morning greeting a full field of 40 competitors at Hampton Downs on the 19th of November. The heavy rain seen earlier in the morning had eased as qualifying began, but standing water was still a problem in a few places out on circuit. The track conditions seemed not to affect Nick Burke, who secured his second pole position in succession by 1.7 seconds from Gabriel Tarn, who had found some welcome form after a difficult round 1. Third on the timesheets was Alex Butson, looking to build on his great round 1 performance. Lauren May was next on the grid, followed by Grant Cullen in 5th. Paiva Santos, who was riding with an injured leg, put in a solid run to secure 6th, followed by Josh Augustine, Ben Cook and Sean Stedman. Another member of the Stroud family, Jesse, rounded out the top 10, riding the bike vacated for this round by Avalon Biddle. Perhaps the biggest shock in qualifying came when points leader Jacob Stroud crashed in turn 6. He was totally uninjured but would have to start from the rear of the field after failing to set a timed lap.
Whoops.
Sunshine was a welcome sight after qualifying, and the track would soon dry, and more importantly remain dry for the rest of the day, allowing both cup races to take place in near perfect conditions. The warmer weather had lifted the mood in the pits and also allowed us to catch up with Lauren May, who had qualified 4th, for our first rider focus.
Hi, I'm Lauren May. I've been racing for 4 years. This will be my 4th year in the Cup. My sponsors are Kickalit, Focus Construction, Heron Plumbing, Duck Secura, Plumbing World. Yes, I'm on an X4R, which is a single cylinder model. It goes rally on corners, but unfortunately some of those straights can be a bit long for someone as heavy as myself. So today I qualified 4th, which is my best qualifier ever, so I was pretty happy with that. I sort of have a bit of rivalry with one of my mates, and basically if you beat him, it counts as winning the race.
On to race 1, and the unfortunate Paul Dara was to have a crash on the warm-up lap, resulting in a broken shoulder. The incident was cleared quickly, however, and the remaining riders would make their way around to the grid to take the start without any further delay. Off the line, it was Burke who led from Tarn, then May. May moved into second momentarily, only to be passed by a charging Cullen who had set about hunting down the fast-starting Burke. As Burke ran up the hill to start lap 2, Cullen used the slipstream to sweep past into the lead, and thus began a great battle between the two riders as they fought for the win. But the real story of the race was unfolding behind them. From 39th on the grid, let's ride on board with Jacob Stroud. After his incredible first lap, Stroud soon found himself hot on the tail of the leading duo, and his cause was helped even further when Cullen ran too hot into turn 4, slowing both himself and Burke on the exit. This was all the motivation Stroud needed, and he was soon able to close the gap, then force his way past both riders in quick succession into turns 5 and 6. Cullen was not settling for second, however, and he took the lead back almost immediately after drafting past on the start-finish straight. Burke had started to fall back slightly, but was enjoying the best view in the house as Stroud and Cullen traded the lead back and forth. Cullen looked to have it in the bag as he led into turn 5 on the last lap, but Stroud took a slower line in to be faster out, and was able to pull alongside as the two headed towards turn 6. Stroud had the inside line and neatly slotted into the lead as they emerged from the right-hander. Cullen was not done yet, and although he was not quite as close to Stroud as he may have liked, he positioned himself well to gain a good slipstream up the hill for the final run to the line. Stroud, knowing Cullen would be strong up and over the hill, took an unconventional line past the pit entrance and hugged the inside wall as much as he could in an effort to deprive Cullen of a clean slipstream. It was just enough, and Stroud hung on to take a remarkable last to first victory, only the third rider in the history of the Hyosung Cup to do so. Those who had witnessed the race from trackside knew they'd seen something special, and they could be forgiven for missing the fact that there'd been amazing action all throughout the field. Whilst Burke had ended up running the last few laps somewhat isolated in third place, the action behind him was anything but sedate, with 8 riders having fought a race-long scrap for 4th place. It was Michael Patchett who came out on top of the battle, followed by Augustine, then Jesse Stroud, Graham Turner, Ben Cook and Butson. Santos equalled his best ever finish when he took 10th place, but was unlucky not to have been placed higher after having had a scary moment with a backmarker on the second to last lap. The gap between 4th and 11th place, a mere 2 seconds. The Stroud family had a lot to be proud of after race 1, and we caught up with Jesse for our rider focus.
Yeah, my name's Jesse Stroud. I've been riding motorbikes for about 2 years now, and yeah, it's been a bit of a blast. I had a pretty good first race, yeah. It was, I think I got 6th, just got pipped on the line by 2 people. Just probably see how well I can do, and yeah, just try to get as fast as I can. So yeah, the faster I go, the more classes I can move up. I'd really like to thank Ken heaps for just helping me out with the entry fee, and just for Dad as well, just for helping driving me here and just helping me out with all that stuff. Oh, and also Jacob, yeah, had some good rides together. Yeah, he waited for me so we could ride. So yeah.
The race 2 Le Mans start saw Ben Dyson get the best jump off the line to hold the lead into turn 1, but his moment of glory was short-lived as he was quickly passed by Butson as the field entered turn 2. Jesse Stroud had made a great getaway and was looking set for a good race until it all unravelled in turn 3. Thankfully Jesse was unharmed and would ride again later in the day. Following closely behind and having had the best view of Stroud's off, Burke and Cullen were already making moves towards the front of the field after both had found themselves struggling with a bad start. It was not long before Cullen was able to hit the front of the field, but Burke's progress was slowed somewhat when a feisty Patchett put up a good defence for 4th place. As Burke moved through to make the pass, an opportunistic Stroud pounced on both to move down the inside at turn 4, then set about chasing down Butson and Cullen at the head of the field. Butson was unable to stay in touch with Stroud and Cullen and soon found himself under pressure from Burke. Burke was then able to make the pass and rode the rest of the race in a somewhat solitary 3rd place. Up at the front, Stroud had ridden beautifully to gap Cullen just enough to avoid being slipstreamed, and he'd charge his way to the line to take a well-deserved victory, his 2nd for the day. Another incredible ride from Jacob. Cullen and Burke rounded out the podium placings, and Patchett eventually passed Butson to secure 4th by the tightest of margins. Butson was followed home by Augustine, then Cook, Tarn and Turner. Lauren May rounded out the top 10. First rider home in the Women's Championship was Nikki Smith, and Nikki is the subject of our next rider focus.
I'm Nikki Smith. I've been racing for about 10 years now in different motorcycles. I first started off being sponsored by Kiwi Bike Insurance 10 years ago when I had a VFR 400. Rang them up to insure it, and they said, well, how about you put some stickers on your bike? So I did, and we've had a relationship ever since. So today was a bit unique for me, racing the Cox Hyosung Cup as well as a 125 GP bike, which I'm preparing for nationals. So I jumped straight on the 250 to qualify, managed to qualify 18th, which is my best so far, and come away with a 15th place, and I don't know where I placed in the next one, but it didn't matter because I came away with 15th overall for the day. So I was really, really happy, got faster and faster as the day went by. Had some awesome battles with some of the guys, really close racing, and that's what I love is, you know, I'm not so fast in the corners or under braking, but I'm fast on the straights. So I overtake them on the straights and they come and attack me back in the corners. So it's been a great battle today.
The points table after round 2 saw Jacob Stroud extend his lead, sitting on 288 points from Nick Burke on 247. Grant Cullen was in third place on 208, only 4 points ahead of Michael Patchett. Josh Augustine was sitting in fifth on 181, followed by Alex Butson on 172. Ben Cook was next on 149, followed by Esmond Williams on 130, and Graham Turner 1 point behind on 129. Lauren May rounded out the top 10 on 117 points. The next round of the Cox Motorsport Hyosung Cup takes place on January the 20th and 21st at Bruce McLaren Motorsport Park in Taupo. See you then for what should be a fantastic round of racing.